horror story with poison wyvern. Once upon a time, there was a happy man. So there was a man who loved his life. He never ever wanted to die. He always loved every single day until one night where his home was abandoned. Then he started hating everything. His home was abandoned, and then he wasn't able to live anywhere now. And then he had to go to a creepy old motel. And then this is the creepy part. This happened. So he started hating everything. He had to take this shot because of his anger. And then it just made him stronger. And then 5 years later, after he got the shot, he was out of control, started murdering people in that motel. The motel got creepier every year. And ever since that day, the motel has been really, really creepy. And no one has ever moved there because it's so creepy. Until one day, this little kid came, and then he was getting creeped out. And then he decided to go to his closet to get his fresh clothes on. And then he saw an axe with blood all over it, trying not to get demonetized. And then he saw the blood all over it. He got creeped out. He fell backwards. Something caught him and dragged him into the closet. And then he was murdered. And then the next day, his mom and dad found out. And then they died later that evening too. And then it just kept on dying, and then everyone kept on dying and dying and dying. Horror story 2. So there was this little kid going to open his closet to get his Christmas stuff. And then whenever he opened it, he saw a horror face. The end. Once upon a time, there was this little boy. It was Christmas Eve. He told his mom that he didn't want to go to his basement to get his Christmas supplies, but then he had to. His brother came with him, so then he was a little bit happier. But then he heard a scream, and then a flashlight turned on. And like I said, once you heard the scream, a flashlight turned on, and then behind the Christmas supplies was a creepy, creepy face that murdered the little brother, and then the big brother had to run out, tried to save him, but it was no use. He was already with no head. And then, out of nowhere, the big brother experienced the most creepiest thing in his life. A creepy face popped up in front of him, and then he had to run and run and run and run and run until it caught up with him. But that didn't stop him. He kept on running and running until he got upstairs. The face was gone and then was never ever seen again. And then everyone was happy to go to the basement for parties. Warning, do not watch at 3 a.m. This last story may be the creepiest thing you've ever heard before. So there was this person at a motel, like the last one, like the first one. So what happened was, it was a really, really creepy, rusty motel because it's been abandoned. Someone actually owned it though, but no one ever used it. But then, ever since the business was actually working, they started actually using it. And then once they started using it, it got so popular, it started going down and down and down, and no one ever was in it anymore until this one family came there because they had no house, and then they were able to afford that until they got a job, which they did. And then they were able to stay at the motel for only 1 year. And then after, it was a really dark night at 5 a.m. and then it was close to daytime, and then someone saw something run across the street. Then they went back inside, and then they saw something run across their bed, and then they checked under the bed and saw this face, and then it slowly disappeared. And then whenever they went to their closet to check on it, there was a face in there too, and then it slowly disappeared. And then whenever he ran out of his house, he was running and running and running. Then it caught up with him. So then he just had to drive away in his car. He drove back to his actual house because they visit the motel every once in a while. And then what happened was, whenever he got back to his house where his family wasn't there. And then he was calling for everyone, checked in all the beds, and then the last bed he checked in, the creepiest room, the biggest room, something popped out of the closet, scared him back. He fell on the ground, and then his head was chopped off. And so was all his organs were out whenever they came to see him. And then the last thing of his remains was his bones. And that was 2 years ago, based off of a true story. Alright, bye guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. And please don't watch at night.